Dude, don't stress. I've told you many times before, weight plateaus are normal. We're gonna get through it. Find out how.
Few things are as frustrating as hitting a weight loss plateau. You're hitting the gym, you're tracking your food, everything's going well, then all of a sudden, scale doesn't move.
If this has happened to you, then this episode's for you.
We're gonna tell you not only why plateaus happen and what are the possible causes, but also what to do about it if you have hit a plateau.
So stick around, folks, as we dive on into another episode of the BeFit Bros podcast. That's the new name, and I'm sticking to it. I'm Victor. My brother Julian, who's not allowed to introduce himself anymore, you guys know. We're here in PSN. Might get hit by a hurricane, but we don't know. We're
Floridians. We're still at it because we're disciplined.
And we care about you guys. How else would we release this episode if we don't film it today, guys? Come on.
Hurricane or not, we're doing this.
Milton.
Oh.
I can't say that. This thing got unhinged one time and I just had to go.
You're unhinged.
For sure. All right, so first things first. Let's get some definitions out of the way. Besides a natural forming flat geographical feature, what is a plateau when it comes to fitness?
How do you spell it? Quickly.
Plateau. Plateau.
E-A-U. This guy's good. Spelling bee champion, district champion, 2000? No, 1998.
And 9, maybe.
But who's counting? So it might sound obvious. Like, obviously, we know what a plateau is. I've stopped losing weight. But is it, though? Because I have a feeling a lot of people think they've plateaued, but they've really just, you can't be losing weight linearly every day. That's not how this works, right? So a plateau, typically what we consider a plateau is if you've stayed stagnant with your progress for more than a few weeks. So if it like 2-3 weeks go by and you're still stuck at that weight and you really haven't made that much progress, then you can start considering that. But if it's like a few days, we all know that weight fluctuates on a daily basis. So first of all, you have to make sure that you're even in a plateau before we start to diagnose or see what the problem is or make some changes.
Yeah, people are too quick to jump on it and they're like, we know you're supposed to lose 1-2 pounds a week, maybe.
That's
if that.
Aggressive. 2 pounds is aggressive.
Aggressive. So people see like a week pass by and they haven't lost anything, and they're like, oh, I hit a plateau. And it's not necessarily your plateau, you're just being impatient.
Yeah, that, and the other thing I would say is it depends on how much you're weighing, how often you're weighing yourself, because there's different coaches who will recommend different things, but you can either weigh yourself every day at the same time, or you can weigh yourself once a week, which, a lot of people don't like to weigh themselves every day because it messes with their mind, and I get that, but it's actually a more accurate way to do it every day and then take the average of what you weighed at the end of the week, because if you weigh yourself on the wrong day, quote unquote, you might see that you're a pound heavier, 2 pounds heavier, or you haven't lost any weight, but maybe you just had a salty meal last night, or if you're a woman, it's that time of the month, and we all know what comes with that. So there's changes and fluctuations. So again, we need to get these little technicalities out of the way before we get to the fun stuff. Make sure that you're actually stagnant for a while, you haven't seen any visual progress, and then make sure that you're actually in a plateau before you start to change things around, and don't freak out.
So since you're mentioning these things, should people be weighing themselves in the morning? Does that matter, or just be a consistent time that they do it?
Yeah, I would do it in the morning. I'll do it in the morning when you're fasted. It's just a more accurate representation.
Pre or post poop?
I would do it post.
I would do it pre.
Let it go. Let it out.
Let it go. Don't hold your poop in no more. Okay, now let's go over some of the common reasons why people actually do plateau.
Okay, number one, very simple, is you have your calorie deficit that you've established for your current weight, right? As you lose weight, that calorie deficit, the number of calories you were eating, is not going to be the same when you've actually lost some weight, obviously, right? The body adapts to the new caloric intake, and then now you have to either mess with it a little bit, adjust it, lower it a little bit. So your body does adapt to your caloric intake over time, and that could lead to a plateau in your weight.
So then what's the end game there? Are you always lowering your caloric intake, or do you mess with it?
That's a great question, because obviously you can't just lower it forever.
Obviously,
that's a recipe for disaster.
You're gonna end up famished.
Also, it's just not the way, it's not the way that the body works, right? Like you wouldn't just keep lowering and just keep losing and losing and losing and losing and eventually wither away. Your body has mechanisms to not starve itself, right? So that's a really interesting question, and what the experts recommend is that when you diet, when you're doing a calorie deficit diet, you aim for 12 to 16 weeks of dieting, but you don't go past that. You can't just diet for a whole year.
Definitely.
If you're severely overweight or obese, morbidly obese, then yes, because it all depends on how much adipose tissue, how much fat you have stored. But for, you know, people that are just want to lose 20 pounds, 25 pounds, whatever, it would behoove you to take diet breaks, what we call diet breaks. So we're gonna get into the weeds about that. But for now, reason number one is just an adaptation that your body has to the lowering of those calories.
Another reason is your body adapts to the type of exercises you're doing. So you start getting diminished results from this same exercise plan that you have. So I think if you're working with a good coach or a good trainer, they're able to kind of mold that plan so you're not always doing the same thing. Or if you are doing the same plan, because we know as trainers, a good plan consists of a few weeks or months.
But you're still progressive overloading.
Progressive overloading, exactly. So if you do it by yourself.
So when you say same plan, you're literally doing the same weights, the same reps, the same
Exactly.
things.
You're just hitting the gym because like you're hitting the gym. You're not adding more weight, you're not adding more reps, you're not throwing maybe some hit into it. There's a lot of things you could do to kind of change up your plan so that your body doesn't adapt to your workout plan. You don't have to shock the body like these people tell you, like, that doesn't really work. That's not how it works. But you do definitely want to have progressive overload. You want to try some different modalities. Incorporate strength training if you haven't already.
We're going to talk about solutions after, so he always wants to give it to you first.
I can't help it. I got to give it to you guys, you know?
You know what? A part that maybe you guys haven't thought about that's interesting and kind of messed up about the body is that your body becomes more efficient, right? So you go from sedentary to exercise. It's a learning process, and your body has to, like, it really is starting to figure all this stuff out. Nervous system, muscles, all of this stuff. How do you move in this way? How do I lift this weight? Once you've been doing it for a while, the body becomes so good at doing it that all of a sudden you're not even burning as many calories. Like, it's easy for me to do it now. So it's kind of messed up because that means that as you become more advanced, you have to be increasing volume, you have to be increasing in intensity. The exercises have to get more advanced just to get the same kind of yield that you were getting in the beginning, those newbie gains.
That's what we say in the exercise field. The wise man once told us, it never gets any easier.
Never gets any easier.
Because, yeah, sure, you might become better at the exercises. You're stronger for sure. But as you're getting better and stronger, you have to make the exercises harder.
It takes
so
more
add
stimulus.
More weight. Yeah, you add more weight. You got to add more reps. Either way, it's going to be challenging. Strength training is never easy.
Yeah. The good news, though, is that as you get leaner, then your body becomes so efficient at also burning fat. So then you can, quote unquote, afford to eat a little bit more once you have gone to that point where you're lean, you don't have that much fat tissue. You don't have to, like, do these crazy diets forever. Exhibit A.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
We're going to eat fast food today.
I'm going to later today.
But it's for work. Mm-hmm. It's for research, for
science.
On that same token, your non-exercise physical activity, your NEAT, as they call it, might stay the same. Non-exercise.
Non-exercise activity.
That's actually a good question. Is it activity, non-exercise, thermogenesis? Is there a T
active
in there?
thermogenesis?
Let's look it up.
Please hold.
Activity thermogenesis. Okay, we're kind of right.
Okay, I'm on one.
So if you've been working out, you've been doing all the things, the calorie deficit, all that stuff, but there's a lot that you do throughout the day when you're not exercising, right? And if that doesn't change, right, if you are stagnant in that, you walk about the same amount of steps every day, you don't move around too much, your job is sedentary, and you're not really adding non-exercise physical activity, it's just another potential reason for why you're not continuing to lose weight.
So you think something like throwing in a walk, maybe like an active hobby like gardening, something like that would help these people?
We're going to talk about it when we get to the solutions.
I can't. They want it. Another big one that... Look, not look at me. Just... Another one that people overlook is the hidden calorie intake that they're taking in. So whether that's misjudging their portion sizes. We know people, if you estimate, people notoriously suck at guessing. The salad dressing that people overlook, the mindless snacking. You might have gotten, a bag of trail mix. You meant to eat a handful and you haven't noticed you've eaten half the bag. Liquid calories is a huge one, which I know I'm guilty of. Anybody that drinks beer is super guilty of. You don't take into account. You might look at the calories and be like, oh, this has 120 calories. Not terrible, and then you've downed 6 before you know it. So,
or if you're drinking wine and you think one glass is like, your version of a glass is like 3 glasses.
Yeah. Those are all hidden dangers that people don't really take into account, that I think it's something that you should be wary of.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes to food, it's so much more complicated than people think. Like, we're not these rational, like, I'm going to eat 1,400 calories a day. And not, it's like, sometimes you're anxious, sometimes you're emotional eating, sometimes you go to work and someone hands you something. And let's be realistic. How many of us pull out the app and immediately like, oh, I ate half a croqueta that my coworker gave me.
And even if you do, the croqueta you ate, who made it? Where did it come from?
How
Where
much
did
oil
it go?
did they use?
Where did it come from? Cotton Eye Joe. So really, you don't know, and that's hard to estimate. And
Great rhyme.
yeah, great rhyme. I think another one that people struggle with, in that sense, we said is even when you do weigh your meals, people are weighing it incorrectly. You're weighing.
Yeah.
You might be weighing your meat after it's cooked, something like that. Like these little mistakes really add up in the long run.
Yep.
I'll cook your meat.
Then there's a big one that I'm sure the listeners struggle with, and that's getting enough sleep and just recovery. And we'll throw in stress management into that just to not have another category. But a lot of people don't realize the importance of sleep when it comes to fat loss. Like it's directly correlated. More importantly, it's correlated with your appetite control as well. So if you're sleep deprived, you're more likely to snack, to crave even certain types of foods like salty foods and fatty foods. I know that for me, I can tell right away, like if I don't sleep well, I'm craving like that bacon, I'm that fatty stuff.
That billionaire bacon.
So sleep is a big one, and I think, statistically, Americans are underslept.
Undersleeping.
Yeah, so
Underslept, that's a thing?
I don't know. They're not sleeping enough.
They're definitely not sleeping enough. None of us are.
Especially when you have a newborn.
We get it. You have a baby. We listen to the podcast. Can I give
just
ASMR
gonna
to the
say it.
people? Really quick?
Sure.
Little ASMR. Sorry if you hated that.
That's a little disgusting. The last one is actually a good thing hidden in plain sight. So a lot of times you're not losing weight because you're recomping. Your body composition is shifting. So you might be gaining lean tissue, so muscle, and losing fat, but the scale won't budge, which is one of our solutions. I'm going to spoil it now, but is doing your body fat percentage instead of just looking at the scale, because the scale might lie. It might not tell you the full picture. And how many times do we see that here?
All the time. But I think there's something to be added to that is don't get on those little scales that tell you your body fat. That's complete BS. Like,
yeah, no, definitely not.
Everybody comes in, they're like, oh, my scale told me I'm 30% body. I'm like,
your scale is a liar. So if you are one of these people that you're strength training, you're lifting weights, and you notice that your weight is stagnant, but I'm telling you that it could be recomposition. What does that mean, and why is that good?
So we see that all the time here, especially with like beginner lifters, somebody that just started strength training. They get on the scale after about a month, and we've seen them coming consistently, so we know they're not BSing. They come in here and they're like, I haven't lost a pound, what gives? And we tell them, your body's recompositioning. To them, it's like, that means nothing to me, dude. I'm still in the same weight. Like, I need to see some visual progress. What that means essentially is that your body is losing fat and gaining muscle, which is optimally what we want, especially in the long run for fat burning. We want that. And even though at first it might not seem like, yeah, but what the hell, my weight's the same, after a little bit, that muscle is, you're going to start seeing the actual physical changes in your body. So like, don't just look at the scale, look at yourself, and you're going to see that fat, it doesn't turn into muscle. That's not a thing.
No.
But you do burn the fat and build more muscle, and that in the long run helps you burn more fat.
Yeah, and unless you're eating like a pig, if you're doing your measurements and stuff, even though you might not see the scale move, you will see yourself shrinking. Yeah. That's just how it works.
We see people in like a lot of cops, anybody with like a fitted uniform, that's one of the first things they notice right away. It's like, oh, my pants don't fit the same. Like, oh, I was able to fit into pants I didn't fit to for a few years. So that's, I think, a better measurement than just getting up blindly on the scale.
Yep.
So now's the part that I've been dying to get to, if you guys can't tell. We're going to tell you guys how you can actually break through that plateau. Tell us.
Numero uno, and you guys are going to hate this one, but it's just, we got to get out of the way. Be patient. Be patient, trust the process, all those cliches, but it's just true. Like we've talked about in so many podcasts in the past, when you understand how the body works, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen after a few weeks. It really takes a while. And sometimes I've seen this a million times where stagnation, plateau, all of a sudden big break. And you didn't change anything. You didn't change your calories, nothing at all. It's just your body was resisting for a little bit. So like we said in the beginning, this is not a linear. Anyone who's ever tried to lose weight or anything, gain strength, it doesn't happen like this. It's not like linear, oh, 2 pounds a week, 2 pounds a week. So expect it. It's kind of like the stock market. It's like a really shitty roller coaster. Down. Yeah, it's going to trend down, and just you have to be patient. There's no other way to go about it. The people that get impatient run into problems all the time. Oh, I can't. This isn't working for me. I'm going to stop altogether. Or, oh, the charlatan on Instagram is promising me this, so I'm going to take this pill. Don't get desperate.
And that's why we see in this day and age, so many people hopping on these weight loss injections or pills or because they saw Betty in HR lost 30 pounds in 2 months, and she's not gonna tell you, but she knows she did.
She ain't working out.
She's not working out. You could tell. And Betty's physique.
And by the way, we're not against those things, but that's for the future.
I'm not against, whatever you do, but be patient. And these type of things take time. It's not gonna happen overnight. And that's why we live in such a day and age that people want immediate gratification, that they're so desperate to lose weight, they'll jump on any trend that they see.
Yeah, and I think a good rule of thumb is the longer something takes to achieve, the more sustainable it is, typically. I mean, something that's like a quick fix, quick result, usually the results are not lasting.
You get a quick bounce back. Yep. That's the same thing we see with people that go super hard for a wedding or go super hard for their cruise. And then we're always like, don't quit after the event, don't quit after the event. And 95% of them quit after the event and revert back to how they were, or most times get worse.
Yep. Somebody told me this morning that their wife was doing the carnivore diet because she wanted to lose weight. So super strict, zero carbs whatsoever, just meat. And I'm like, okay, listen, it's gonna work. She's gonna lose the weight, but once she starts eating carbs again, she's gonna blow up. You're gonna see. So just warn her about that. You don't have to go that extreme, but
yeah, your body doesn't like these extremes.
No,
your body needs balance. We talk about it all the time. Your body likes balance.
Homeostasis.
There's reasons that we have macronutrients. It's not you guys saw the carb episode of skipping carbs if carbs make you lose weight. Your body likes some balance. So find something sustainable. Don't go crazy on that new diet you just found, Find something you could maintain for a long time, and that's going to be ultimately is going to lead to better results.
Just the weirdest person. Okay, another solution is reassessing your caloric intake. Like we talked about in the beginning, you're not going to stick to the same amount of calories. As you lose weight, you're going to require less calories just to continue losing weight. So this is where a coach, either somebody like a nutrition coach or a dietitian or a personal trainer, probably not a personal trainer. I wouldn't trust those guys with that.
Yeah, me neither.
But will strategically readjust your calories. Now, I have to say, please be careful with this. Do your due diligence, look things up, make sure that you're at an appropriate, because people way overdo it. We've had clients that come in and tell us, oh, my old trainer had me on a grown man on a 1,200 calorie diet. Your old trainer was starving you. Well, it's you have to understand how this is a game of we're talking 200 to 500 calories of deficit per day, right? We're not talking about you being on a 1,000 calorie diet, if you weigh 200 pounds. So you can easily overdo it, and you're causing a lot more harm than good if you're doing that. So again, this is somebody that has to be trained in this, either a dietitian or someone who works specifically with people who do macro coaching and things like that, but they're well trained, not just a nutritionist. Because again, I've just seen this go bad in many ways. That's
a slippery slope too, because how would you recommend them find somebody that is knowledgeable? Because everybody claims to be knowledgeable. Or you'll find on Instagram oh, Susie does nutrition coaching, and she sends her friends a nutrition plan, we look at it and we're like, wow, you're either being starved or this is BS.
Well, look, one of the easiest ways that we all have access to now, somebody did it in our group chat the other day, is run your stuff through AI, through ChatGPT, see what they tell you, they, them.
They, them.
Throw it in there, seriously. Should I, as an active guy who weighs right now 180 pounds, I'm a little bit over where I should be, but who weighs 180 pounds, is it appropriate for me if I want to lose X amount per week to go on a 1,200 calorie diet? It's going to tell you, no, that's excessive. You should be doing, 1% of your weight as a deficit. So you should be around X amount. Now, I'm using ChatGPT, but you can use other calculators online, but use several of them, because some of them are made for bodybuilders and they're way out of, they'll tell you to eat 300 grams of protein per day. So again, just run it through a few different sources, and then you're going to have to, don't be lazy about it. You're going to have to go in and research yourself, because if you're just trusting blind, I wouldn't do that. Don't even take our advice like that. Go in and research what we're talking about. Don't trust us.
Don't trust anyone.
No, it's true though.
Another thing to add to that is a lot of these people or these modalities don't take into account your workout. You're the only person, or the person you're telling is the only person that knows how active you are, how active your job is, your hobbies. All of these things take into account how many calories you need. So you can't just say, hey, I'm a 180-pound guy, give me my calories. No, I'm a 180-pound guy who strength trains 3 times a week. I run twice. I like to, garden, these type of things. Like, all of that affects your caloric intake. So you really have to, like you said, run it through a few.
Yep.
Actually, like, actively know what you're talking about. Don't just, oh, my friend weighs the same as me, and we're gonna do the same calories. Like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, and the other thing to consider is, well, there's two things. One, like we talked about before, you can't do it forever, so you have to plan your either refeeds, like days that you're eating more calories, just to give your body psychologically and physically a break. And also like, okay, I'm gonna do this for 10 weeks. Then I'm gonna go maintenance, right? A maintenance phase. So you don't touch your calories, you got actually increase them for a little bit. And then I'm gonna get back into it, right? So again, whether you're working with a coach or you're trying to do it on your own, you have to know these things, that this is not a forever until I lose those damn 20 pounds. You have to be strategic about it. And to add to that, the psychology, this isn't like this, we're not logical creatures. There are psychological things to consider when you're on a diet. I've seen it time and time again, which is why we honestly don't really like to count calories for our clients. But it's like, oh my God, I had a wedding this weekend and I ate so much. I went way out of my macros and I'm so stressed out about it. It's like, relax. Nothing's gonna happen if you go one day over your calories. So if you are the type of person that gets like really psychologically affected by these things, then that's something to consider too. You may not vibe with the diet that coach is giving you or that you found online. You might have to do something that's a little bit more tailored to you and like how you think about these things.
Couldn't agree more with you in that sense. And that's why we don't really, like you said, we don't really tell our clients, count calories on day one. This is more like when you're here, when you've hit the weight plateau.
Yeah.
This is one of the options. Buy a scale, start weighing your food. That's once you've hit this point. Don't just, hey, I'm gonna start weighing my food willy-nilly. Like, try it without it first. You might see results without needing to go this extreme.
Yeah, that's a great segue to, I was gonna answer one of their objections. I know what they're thinking. It's like, well, if I don't count calories in, how do I know? It's like flying blind. How do I know?
How do I know, dude?
The way that you know is, are you seeing progress? It's that simple. Let's say you're getting your body fat measured every month, right? Which is what we do here with, especially with our personal clients. Is your body fat going down? If it is, congratulations. You don't have to count calories. If, like we said, if you're plateaued for like a month or two, hey, I'm really not, okay, let's dig a little deeper. Can we fix this without having you weigh your food and track all of that? Tell me a little, like, just talk to me. Well, I do like to drink IPAs, and, my wife and I have been drinking beer like 3 times a week. All right, can we cut the 2 beers a night to 1 beer a night? I think I could do that.
Yeah, a bigger beer.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
you're not counting calories, but you just saved yourself 250 calories a day.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to count calories to cut calories. Damn, that's a banger of a quote.
Well said.
I'm
but
outta here.
Yeah, but you also, I think some people need to go beyond that, because we kind of overlook, like we said earlier, the hidden snacking and stuff like that. We do it without noticing. Like, you wouldn't notice that you're eating these things. Like, I wouldn't just be able to tell you, now that you mention it, I did have a whole bag of fun-sized Kit Kats yesterday. True story. So, like, these type of things. The fun size.
Was that Halloween candy? You're eating early?
I'm eating early.
Where's the best place to buy it?
Walmart.
You can say it out loud, man. Say it with your chest.
Walmart.
Okay. Anyway.
I'll get you some if you want. So these type of things, like, I feel like people overlook. If it's something you do all the time, I feel like you're going to overlook that. And that's something you got to really take into account. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why dietary recalls are so, what's the word I'm looking for? Inaccurate. Because people don't realize it, right? So that's what I like about tracking your food. It's not so much about being so meticulous. Yeah. It's about the awareness. Like, oh my God, I didn't realize.
You're right. I snack every 2 hours.
I didn't realize that my breakfast had this many carbs, or that, wow, I'm really like low on my protein. So as an awareness tool, it's great. But do you need it? No. And we don't do it. A lot of our clients don't do it. But like you said, which is a great point, if you are stagnant, okay, then we have to go a little bit deeper. But the good news about this is, like, don't stress out because you're in a plateau. There's a solution to it. We guarantee there's a solution to it. We just might have to dig a little bit deeper, implement some of these things that we're talking about now, and that's it. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, but like you said, that psychology of not beating yourself up, that's huge, because that's when people start taking those crazy routes. They start jumping on these pills, or they'll completely drop their exercise routine for something new, trendy that just popped up. And we don't want that. We always say we want sustainability.
And that's a tough pill to swallow, which is like,
no pun intended.
Just keep doing what you're doing, even though you're not seeing quote unquote results, right? It's like, well, piss off. No, I'm doing this for the results, which we disagree with. You're not just doing this for the results, because if it was all about, if I'm only exercising to lose weight, then when I stop losing weight, I'm gonna stop exercising. No, you're exercising because it's really good for your health in many ways, a myriad of ways. So yes, it's a good side effect of working out, but doesn't mean I'm gonna, because that's a rationalization. I'm gonna quit working out. Oh, how convenient.
Yeah.
You just stop working out.
Stop doing something really hard.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, if you just care about the weight loss, just go get lipo or something.
Just do like a, not Kelly Clarkson. I don't want to put that on her name. What's the other?
Oh, Kelly Osbourne.
Kelly Osbourne. Why would even people exercise anymore?
Yeah.
When you could just hop on Ozempic. We're gonna do a whole episode on that, by the way. I can't wait to roast her.
Stay tuned.
Tag your ass too.
Another good tip is to change your workout routine a little bit. So whether that be...
Wait, does that mean I have to shock my body?
Yeah, shock your body.
And have variety every single time?
You're like gonna do a pull-up and then you turn around and do bicep curls and really shock those muscles because they thought you were gonna do something and you do something else.
Oh no.
Muscle confusion.
Whoa.
Oh my God, this is my muscles.
I'm so confused by this.
Oh. No, but try new things. We do it with our clients all the time. You go through your strength training routine. First of all, if you're not strength training, do it. And if you're strength training already, try adding more weight. Try adding more reps. Try adding a little 10-minute hit to the end of your exercises. Warm up with a little bit of cardio on the bike. You know, these type of things, these little different things, shock your body. And
yeah, it's not really shocking your body, but what a good coach understands, and this is one of the main differences between training with a coach or training in general than exercising, is that most people when they go to the gym, they kind of do what they've seen, what they're familiar with, what somebody told them on Instagram. What we do as a coach is, there's a few things we could do, but number one, you're always progressive overloading, right? We're trying to eventually make this a little bit harder as time passes. But the other thing that we're doing is what's called periodization, right? Which is something that is a little more technical. Maybe you guys are not familiar with, but what that means is you're planning out your blocks way in advance, right? So maybe you'll be like, for the next 6 weeks, I'm gonna work on these strength training components. Maybe we're gonna work on certain exercises like the back squat, Bulgarians, bent over rows. And then after those 6 weeks, we're gonna completely change that workout routine. And now we're going to be working on these things, maybe a little bit more hypertrophy, muscle growth, a little more volume. Let's stop back squatting. Let's start barbell deadlifting. Those are things that a coach thinks about, but you guys probably listening right now like, oh, I didn't even know that it worked that way. Yeah, we completely switch out programs for people every 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. It could be even 4 to 8 weeks. And now you're doing something completely different, but still strength training, still the same foundations.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of research lately that shows that you can make gains with any sort of rep range. So mess around with the rep range. Hey, you've been doing shoulder press for 10 reps for the last 3 weeks. Go for 15.
For the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Everybody does 8 to 12.
But I mean, go for 15, go for 20. That's something that we've been doing with our clients is go, change up the rep scheme on them. Hey, we've been doing 8 to 12 shoulder presses. We're going to do 15 today. See how that affects you. All these things, it's not just about adding weight, and it's not just about trying new exercises. There's so many little things you can do to change up your workout routine that in the long run are going to make a difference.
And I want to emphasize on this point because it's important. 9 times out of 10, if you're plateauing with your weight, it's not an exercise problem, especially if you're exercising. Okay, if you're not exercising, what the hell are you doing? Why are you listening to this
Why are you
podcast?
watching a weight plateau
Seriously,
podcast?
if you're not exercising, and if you're not weight training or strength training, you're really messing up because you're losing so much muscle that's like gold for your body. But anyway, let's say you are, which most of you are, you're exercising, and it's not going to be, for the most part, a workout problem. It's going to be a nutrition problem.
Calories
9
in,
times out of
calories
10, because it is about calorie deficit. I mean, this is one of the most well-known facts is that if you're not losing weight, guess what? You're eating too much. I guarantee you, if we put you on an island and you're surviving off of that island stuff, whatever they eat in islands, you're going to lose weight.
Island things.
You're going to lose weight. If I put you on a really strict fasting schedule, you're going to lose weight. So don't give me that whole, I don't get it. Is it my hormones?
It's my
is
thyroid.
Is it this and that? Is it my thyroid? No, you're eating too much because food is delicious and it's everywhere.
Yeah,
And
it is
like
everywhere.
it.
We do like it. All right, let's get neat.
Let's.
What does that mean? Can you remind the people at home?
So we talked about it earlier.
I'll tell you right now.
There's
the
physical
acronym.
activity from exercise and there's non-exercise physical activity. So one easy way to maintain a deficit is not necessarily to diet more, but to move more, right? So doing activities that are that require moving around, whether it's going for a walk or gardening or something like that, that actually can help. Now, one of the problems is when you're dieting a lot, your body, a lot of people don't realize this, we probably should have mentioned it earlier, but when you're dieting for a long time, your body reduces subconsciously your NEAT, right? So I don't know if you guys have ever done a long-term diet, but you just want to kind of lay on the couch and do nothing. You're lazier because your body at the end of the day doesn't want you to lose too much weight too quickly. It's trying to protect you, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be like, you're cutting my calories, right?
I'm cutting your movement.
I'm cutting your movement. You're not going to
shit.
fidget as much. You're not going to move around as much. It's crazy, but that's a thing. So you have to be conscious of that.
I haven't thought of that. It's interesting. I'm a fidgeter.
Same.
I'm a fidgeter.
That could be one of the reasons why we can afford to eat so much. Not only do we work as trainers, but we're fidgeting around all day.
We're fidgeting. I'm always doing shenanigans.
But I'll tell you what, when I'm lazy, man. Oh, I get couch lock and I ain't moving.
I am the best at being on my couch.
It's like 0 or 100.
There's a big-shaped indentation of a little tiny ass on my side of the couch.
Nice. Okay, talk about sleep optimization and stress management.
What do I know about that? So what we mentioned earlier, sleep and fat loss are directly correlated to each other, yet people are still looking for gimmicks and ways to quote unquote rest as opposed to just getting more sleep. So people are like, oh, I'm gonna try the sauna, I'm gonna do a cold plunge, all these things. It's like, just sleep an hour or two more, like go to bed a little earlier.
What's the quote I always butcher about missing the forest for the trees? Is that what it is? You're missing the forest for the trees?
No, I've never heard you say that.
Anyway, because I butcher it. But anyway, I think that's what it is. But the whole idea being the biggest by far bang for your buck is getting good sleep and plenty of sleep. But because you don't want to do that, you want the fun hack. It's like, I'm going to neglect that, but I'm going to do this like red light therapy at night because that's going to help me with my recovery.
All right, Brian Johnson.
Just freaking sleep.
Yeah, just
sleep is more. Literally, like that's the elixir for everything. For health, for brain health, for memory, for recovery from exercise, for fat loss, for appetite control.
Now, if you're sleeping too much, these may be signs of depression, and you should reach out for help. And that's not a joke.
Yeah, if you're sleeping too much, like Rain, then
maybe we should have her talk about sleep in here because she sleeps like 10 hours a day.
Yeah, but she's still grumpy sometimes when even though she slept, which doesn't make any sense.
Sometimes you might sleep too much. I don't know
about you. How gets to sleep too much, man?
Some days, like Sundays, when I oversleep, I'm sleepier than other days. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
We're going to get Matthew Walker, who wrote Why We Sleep, on the podcast. So if you guys want to see that. But seriously, we do want to do a whole podcast. It's on our list on sleep. So, and then with
sounds like a real snooze fest.
So something that goes alongside with that is stress management, right? If you're overly stressed, you have a lot going on, you probably have higher levels of cortisol in your body. And cortisol is no bueno when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to muscle gain. You don't want to have the stress levels in your body running very high. And that also has to do with sleep, because when you sleep more, you lower your cortisol levels. If you sleep less, you actually have elevated. You wake up with a little bit more of a cortisol.
I was going to say, it's something that people might be looking at as like, oh, just sleep more. Like, yeah, thanks, geniuses. I'm trying. But like, my brain, when I lay down, my brain is like super.
Yeah, what I call bullshit. I'm going to call you guys out on it right now, because the amount of people that I have to tell to not be on their phones before they go to sleep is alarming. It's alarming. Like, this is the worst tool for going to sleep ever made, is having this bright light with interesting things in front of you while you sleep. You should be thinking about a whole like sleep time routine that involves, there's so many things. We're not going to get into it. We'll do it in the later episode. But there's so many things that literally will help you just go right to sleep. But a lot of people watch TV, they're on their phones, they're doing all this stuff. And that's just not going to help you. It's going to stimulate your mind. And when your mind should be calming down. Yeah, there's even people that go as far as no overhead light in the hours right before sleep. So it's only lights that come from the floor, or it's very dim lights. And because these lights, they stimulate, your body to like wake up, to be awake.
Like the sun.
Exactly.
Like stepping out into the sun.
Exactly. So anyway, yeah, I'm calling you out. Get off your phone.
Another important one, I think, is tracking your progress, not just looking at the numbers. And we tell this to people all the time here. I literally tell them, throw your scale away.
Yeah, I don't care about your scale.
Don't track your progress on the scale. If you want, have somebody, because we know it's inaccurate if you do it yourself, either with a tape measure, or if you know somebody, a professional that could do your body fat. That's so much more important and reliable than getting on the scale. Like we said in the beginning of the episode, weight fluctuates all the time. So if your psychological state of being depends on that number you see down there, that's not good.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say throw away the scale altogether, because some people don't, that's the only thing they have access to. And we can all argue that, yeah, maybe my body fat has gone down, but if I'm stuck at like overweight, I don't want to be there, right? I always tell my clients that your body fat has to go down, but we want that weight to go down too, especially if you're overweight or obese. So what I'm saying is, do both, you know? Yeah, you can weigh yourself unless it messes with your mind. In that case, I would say, all right, then maybe just rely on me to tell you the numbers, to look at. So I have clients that don't even look at the number. I'm just reassuring them, like, it's going down, all right?
Yeah.
We're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I just say to throw it away because most of the people I know that do weigh themselves like daily plays more mind tricks on them than like, oh, that's a good weight. Like that rarely happens unless you're
one of those people that can separate like how you feel that day by the number that you see, right? That you're normal, you've accepted that you know the number's gonna fluctuate.
Or you're like, oh yeah, this weekend was I completely up. Sorry for my language.
Yeah.
It's like this weekend was a wash. Like, yeah, I expected to weigh 4 more pounds. Like,
yeah.
But that's rare. How often do we see that healthy relationship with your weight? It's not common.
Yeah, I think that the winning strategy is to do a few different ways, like you said, of tracking progress, which would be, let's say you are doing a scale, fine. Do the scale, track over time, but also measurements, inches, body fat percentage, of course, which is a few ways to do. And a very important one is visual, right? There's some coaches that they don't even look at any of the other stuff. It's just visual. It's like, am I starting to see more definition? Am I looking a little bit slimmer? That one can mess with you a little bit because we all have a distorted body image. But, you know, sometimes somebody else might tell you, hey, you're looking slimmer, or you might see yourself in the mirror. Or like you said, the clothes might fit you. That one never lies.
Yep.
The way that your clothes fit you, yeah, that's a really good strategy to see if you're making progress. So before we close out, I'd like to say that it can be very frustrating to be in a plateau. Like, we understand the psychological, the emotional turmoil that comes with being stuck because you're working so hard, and legitimately is very frustrating and makes you want to quit. So don't think that we're all like just logical about this. Like, oh, there's no problem. Don't freak out. Do this. It is very challenging. So, you know, be compassionate with yourself and just understand that this is gonna happen, and be mentally prepared that it's gonna happen. And then try to just write it out, you know?
Yeah, like you said, we're talking about it so matter of factly. Like, this is easy. Like, don't be stuck in a plateau. Don't freak out. Like you said, it's not easy. And even for us as coaches, if we see somebody plateauing and they're busting their ass,
it's hard on us too.
It's hard to be like, hey man, it's okay. Like, try to stick with it. Like, that's a hard thing to tell somebody. Hey, don't worry about it. Just keep busting your ass for what seems like no.
Yeah, I mean,
no
we wouldn't
result.
say it like that, but I know you're being.
Yeah, of course, obviously. But anyway, let's summarize this thing.
Yeah.
Like we told you guys, you have to be patient. Be patient with yourself. Don't be too harsh on yourself. If you know you're doing things right, you know, stick to it. Don't BS yourself. Don't tell yourself, I'm doing enough when you know you're not. I think that's a very important one.
Don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie to yourself. Try to use different modalities of exercise. If you're already doing one, try to incorporate some HIIT. Try to incorporate different rep ranges. Sleep, do all this stuff. And if you're still finding yourself stuck, you can reach out to a professional. You can talk to us, come by. We can do your body fat measurements. We can help you lose that weight. We can help you pass that plateau.
Yeah, that's one of the important things of consulting with a professional, because if you're doing it on your own, you're kind of flying blind and you'll start frustrating yourself. You'll start reading a bunch of stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
You'll start, you know, trusting the Instagram person that's telling you X, Y, Z. But when you go to a professional that has experience with this, we'll be able to run you through all these things. Is it this? Is it that? 9 times out of 10, we're going to figure it out from one conversation. It's like, oh, you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
No
you're
wonder.
a nurse.
Yeah, so
you guys don't sleep at all.
That's what we're here for. Consult with us. Even if you don't come and train with us, we're always happy to answer comments, to answer DMs. That's what we're here for, and that's why we're doing this podcast. So, yeah, as always, we'd like to hear your opinions or what you think or what you've experienced. Are you currently in a plateau? Did you break one? We know a few of you that just broke through plateaus and are doing phenomenal now. So, yeah, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Send it to somebody.
Ring the bell. I still don't know what that does. You told me last time. I don't remember. But with that being said, this is another episode of the BeFit Bros podcast.
Hasta la pasta.
Hasta la vista, baby. And look at this guy's
See you on
thumb.
the cruise. Don't hurt yourself like I did. This was a python hunt.
The python bit him. I was aiming for his, but it was too small.